Welcome to another episode of Gary Talks. When I put the show ideas together for this, a lot of times I'll look at the release calendar. What movies are coming out? What albums are coming out? Is there a big TV show that has a finale coming up? And try to base my subject around that. But then sometimes things just change. For example, this weekend I was going to do a show about movie remakes. The good, the bad, the horrible. Because the remake of the movie The Crow was set to be released. But that suddenly got pushed back a few months. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think any of us really want to see it. But then suddenly, I was left without a subject for this episode. Often, friends of mine, people that like the show, will shoot me ideas. Hey, do a show about this or a show about this. So one of my friends sent this idea, and I figured, that'll be perfect. It's something I can talk about without doing a whole lot of research, and we can plug it in right now. So that's the episode you're going to get. Today, I'm going to talk about my top 10 movie sequels of all time.
Gary Talks Movies. Gary Talks Movies. Gary Talks Movies.
We all know what a sequel is, right? It's the second movie. So sometimes the movie was successful. They never planned to do a sequel, but because people love it so much, they made a second movie. Sometimes a sequel is the second movie of a trilogy. Sometimes it's a franchise that goes on for 10, 11, 12 movies. But for the sake of this show, I'm only counting whatever the second movie was as the sequel. I think we can pretty much all agree that sequels rarely measure up to the first movie. It's called the law of diminishing returns. Usually, box office-wise, there is a specific percentage that a sequel will make. If a sequel makes 80% of the original, then it's considered a success. At the same time, sequels usually try to up the body count, up the jokes, try to do something to top what was in that first movie. And often, sequels just end up not being as good as the original. But there are some movies, which will be on my list, that I liked better than the first one. There are some sequels that really held up to the first one. And then there are some sequels that are just really, really good. We're going to start off with what I think is the best opening to any sequel, because this movie just jumped right into the action. It took advantage of being the number 2 movie that it didn't need to introduce who the characters are. It didn't need to set up what their flaws were, anything about them. It assumes we already know them, we already love them, we can jump right into the action, and it makes this one of the best movie openings ever. Coming in at number 10, Lethal Weapon 2. Richard Donner's Lethal Weapon 2 successfully builds on the chemistry and action of the original, delivering a sequel that is both thrilling and entertaining. With a perfect blend of high-stakes action, sharp humor, and compelling character dynamics, this film stands out as one of the best in the buddy cop genre. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are back as Riggs and Murtaugh, but this time they have even more depth and camaraderie. Riggs, still grappling with the loss of his wife, finds a renewed sense of purpose and even moments of unexpected romance. Murtaugh remains the grounded, family-oriented counterbalance to Riggs. The introduction of Joe Pesci as Leo Getz is a masterstroke, injecting the film with a dose of comic relief and nervous energy. Pesci's rapid-fire dialogue and quirky mannerisms make Leo an unforgettable addition to the cast, and his interactions with Riggs and Murtaugh are some of the film's highlights. The action sequences in Lethal Weapon 2 are expertly crafted, combining explosive set pieces with more intimate hand-to-hand combat scenes. The film's pacing is brisk, ensuring that the audience is continually engaged. One of the big strengths of the film is its ability to balance action with humor and character development. The screenplay, written by Shane Black and Warren Murphy, is sharp and witty, ensuring that the dialogue remains fresh and engaging. Lethal Weapon 2 is a standout sequel that successfully captures the spirit of the original while expanding its scope and deepening its characters. I'm always creating rules for these lists, and then I almost immediately always break them. Those of you that have seen other episodes are like, oh yeah, you did that when you called Skid Row a hairband, or you made the Back to the Future soundtrack one of your top 10s. This one is not technically against the rules of my list, but it also technically is. That's because it's a sequel that's part of a reboot. So while it is like the seventh movie in the series, ultimately, it is the sequel to the all-new reboot. So that's why it counts. It was a phenomenal movie. It is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Matt Reeves' Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a masterful continuation of the rebooted franchise, combining stunning visual effects, powerful performances, and a nuanced exploration of themes like trust, leadership, and the thin line between civilization and savagery. This film not only builds on the success of its predecessor, but also deepens the narrative and emotional stakes, making it one of the standout entries in modern science fiction. Andy Serkis's portrayal of Caesar is nothing short of revolutionary. Utilizing motion capture technology, Serkis imbues Caesar with a profound sense of wisdom, strength, and vulnerability. The supporting cast of apes, including Toby Kebbell as the vengeful Koba, also deliver remarkable performances. Koba is a tragic figure scarred by human cruelty and driven by a relentless desire for revenge. The dynamic between Caesar and Koba highlights the film's central theme, the struggle between forgiveness and vengeance. On the human side, Jason Clarke as Malcolm provides a nuanced performance as a man caught between two worlds. Malcolm is empathetic and hopeful, striving to build a bridge of understanding between humans and apes. Gary Oldman's Dreyfus, representing the more fearful and militant human perspective, adds a layer of complexity, highlighting the fear and desperation that drive many of the film's conflicts. Reeves' direction is meticulous, balancing intense action scenes with quieter, character-driven moments. The film's pacing is deliberate, allowing for the development of its themes and characters without sacrificing the excitement and tension. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a triumph of modern filmmaking, offering a thought-provoking and emotionally rich narrative set against a backdrop of stunning visual effects and intense action. It's a powerful exploration of leadership, trust, and the fragile nature of peace. For my number 8 favorite sequel, I could see this being one that some of you would argue against, because all 3 of these films were shot at the same time. It was basically shot to be one 9-hour movie, if you do the extended version, like, one 20-hour movie or something like that. But technically, this was a sequel. It was the second movie out there. And when the first one came out, I wasn't in love with it. I thought it was fine, but when I went to the theater to see this one, I was blown away. And it's pretty much because of the same reason I loved the number 9 movie. That reason is Andy Serkis, and coming in at number 8 is The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers is a cinematic triumph that brilliantly continues the saga began in The Fellowship of the Ring. This middle chapter seamlessly blends breathtaking visuals, compelling character arcs, and intense action, delivering a truly epic experience that stands as a high watermark in fantasy filmmaking. One of the film's most impressive accomplishments is its ability to juggle multiple storylines without losing coherence or emotional impact. The narrative deftly shifts between Frodo and Sam's treacherous journey with Gollum, the growing tensions and battles in Rohan, and the defense of Middle-earth against the encroaching darkness. Each storyline is given ample attention, ensuring that every character's journey feels vital and interconnected. The Two Towers excels in its action sequences, none more so than the Battle of Helm's Deep. This huge battle is a masterclass in tension, choreography, and visual effects, blending practical effects with CGI to create a breathtaking and immersive spectacle. Of course, the movie is stolen by Andy Serkis's Gollum. Serkis's groundbreaking performance capture work brings Gollum to life with astonishing realism, creating a complex character torn between his dual personalities of Smeagol and Gollum. This dynamic is both fascinating and tragic, adding depth to the storyline. The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers expands the world of Middle-earth, deepens the characters' arcs, and delivers some of the most memorable and thrilling moments in cinematic history. With its perfect blend of story, character, and spectacle, The Two Towers not only meets, but often surpasses the high standards set by its predecessor. If The Two Towers is a movie where I liked the second one better than the first one, we're going to continue that trend for a little bit. And this is kind of crazy because the first one in this series was nominated and won Oscars. But I, along with Quentin Tarantino and a lot of other movie fans, actually prefer the second one. That movie is Rocky II. Rocky II retains the charm and spirit of Rocky while delving deeper into the personal and professional challenges that Rocky faces after his unexpected rise to fame. Stallone, pulling double duty as both director and lead, brings a raw authenticity to Rocky Balboa. His portrayal is as endearing and earnest as ever, capturing Rocky's struggle to balance newfound celebrity with his humble roots and powerful aspirations. Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed is once again charismatic and commanding. Apollo's transition from a confident champion to a man driven by pride and a desire to prove himself adds an intriguing layer to his character. The rivalry between Rocky and Apollo is intensified, setting the stage for a compelling rematch. One of the standout aspects of Rocky II is its focus on Rocky's everyday struggles. The film doesn't shy away from depicting the financial difficulties and personal challenges Rocky faces, making his journey relatable and grounded. This emphasis on the human element is what makes the Rocky series resonate so deeply with audiences. And as great as the ending to the original Rocky was, the ending to Rocky II is even more satisfying.
Yo, Adrian! I did it!
Thinking ahead to my list here, I am really in a span of movies that I prefer Part 2 to Part 1, and this is no different. What makes this interesting is it is a completely different sort of movie made by a completely different director. The first one was directed by Ridley Scott and was a suspense horror film shot in space. But when James Cameron came in to do the sequel to Alien, he made just a crazy 80s war movie, science fiction, action movie, and I love it. Next up is Aliens. James Cameron's Aliens masterfully shifts gears from Ridley Scott's atmospheric horror to high-octane action, creating a sequel that not only honors the predecessor, but also stands firmly on its own as a groundbreaking film. This seamless blend of genres results in one of the most exhilarating and influential sci-fi movies ever made. Sigourney Weaver's performance as Ellen Ripley is the heart and soul of Aliens. Weaver reprises her role with a nuanced portrayal that combines strength, vulnerability, and maternal instinct. Ripley's evolution from survivor to warrior is compelling, and her relationship with the young survivor Newt adds emotional depth to the relentless action. Weaver's performance earned her an Academy Award nomination, a rare honor for a sci-fi film. The supporting cast is great. I mean, you've got Michael Biehn, Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen, and of course, Paul Reiser being the biggest douchebag Burke. James Cameron's direction is a masterclass in pacing and tension. From the moment the Marines land on LV-426, the film builds towards its explosive climax. The action sequences are impeccably choreographed, utilizing practical effects, miniatures, and early CGI to create believable and terrifying alien adversaries. The use of practical effects, particularly the xenomorph suits and the terrifying alien queen, is a testament to the film's lasting impact on creature design and special effects. Aliens also excels in its exploration of themes such as motherhood, the ethics of corporate greed, and the camaraderie of soldiers facing insurmountable odds. Ripley's maternal instincts towards Newt, juxtaposed with the alien queen's protection of her brood, add a unique layer to the narrative, elevating the film beyond mere action spectacle. Alien's blend of action, horror, and emotional depth ensures its enduring legacy as one of the greatest sequels ever made. For number 5, another movie where I like the sequel better than the original, and this one I don't think a lot of people will disagree. Some will, some won't, but I think everyone can agree that this is one of the greatest sequels of all time. And I think it is just a deeper, more complex movie than the first. Godfather Part 2. Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather Part 2 is a rare achievement in cinema, a sequel that not only lives up to the original, but also deepens and expands its themes and characters. It stands as a monumental work in film history, blending masterful storytelling, complex character development, and a profound exploration of power and corruption. Al Pacino delivers what I think is his best performance as Michael Corleone, a character who is increasingly consumed by his own ambition and paranoia. Pacino's portrayal is a study in controlled intensity, capturing Michael's transformation from a reluctant family man to a ruthless and isolated leader. Robert De Niro's portrayal of young Vito Corleone is equally mesmerizing. De Niro brings a quiet dignity and steely determination to the role, convincingly portraying the origins of the Corleone Empire. The film's dual narrative structure is one of its greatest strengths. Coppola seamlessly interweaves the past and present, drawing parallels between father and son. Visually, The Godfather Part 2 is stunning. Gordon Willis's cinematography captures the film's dark, brooding atmosphere with meticulous attention to detail in every frame. The Godfather Part 2 is a masterpiece of American cinema, a film that transcends this genre to offer a profound exploration of power, legacy, and the human condition. And now to number 4. This movie has already been on another one of my rankings, which was top 10 superhero movies. I've said before how I didn't truly love Batman Begins, but when I saw The Dark Knight, I was blown away, and I think it still holds up, and it is my number 4 favorite sequel. I have to be honest, don't hate me. Batman Begins did not blow me away. I didn't even see it on the big screen as I still had hurt feelings about Batman and Robin, and I just really didn't want to see another Batman that wasn't Michael Keaton. I bought it on DVD when it came out and thought it was okay, right until the very end. That tease of the Joker, though, made me sit up, and I was suddenly excited for the sequel. Then it was announced that the dude from 10 Things I Hate About You was going to be the Joker, and he just seemed too damn pretty. Maybe my initial thoughts about Nolan's Batman movies were going to be right. Then I went to see The Dark Knight in IMAX. From that opening bank robbery scene, I sat with my jaw on the floor. This was a masterpiece. Christian Bale was a better Batman here, and I'm always a sucker for Harvey Dent and Two-Face. But the movie completely belonged to Heath Ledger's Joker. He was magnetic on screen. So much so that when he wasn't around, I would sit and anxiously await his next time on screen. The word iconic gets thrown around a lot, but this Joker was iconic and is my favorite supervillain performance in any movie. I'm usually not a fan when comic book and superhero movies are made so that they look like they belong in the real world. I like the more fanciful, non-realistic things, but not Schumacher non-realistic. But Nolan really nailed this real-world Batman. If only Dark Knight Rises had measured up to this movie, but it was pretty much too high of a bar for any movie to clear. We've already had this director once before on my list. It's James Cameron. I know he's now in Avatar world and it feels like he's just so immersed in that. And trust me, Avatar 2 is not the sequel I'm going to talk about. But before he got so enamored of Avatar, every movie he made was great. And I think this is truly his masterpiece, the greatest movie he's ever made, and the number 3 sequel of all time, Terminator 2. Terminator 2: Judgment Day is a landmark in the sci-fi action genre, combining cutting-edge special effects, gripping storytelling, and profound themes about humanity and technology. This sequel not only matches the original Terminator, but raises the bar, establishing itself as one of the greatest action films of all time. Schwarzenegger reprises his role as the Terminator, but with a twist. This time he is the protector rather than the predator, showcasing his versatility and endearing himself to the audience. Schwarzenegger's stoic performance, paired with his deadpan delivery of iconic lines like "Hasta la vista, baby," adds layers of complexity and even humor to his character. Linda Hamilton's portrayal of Sarah Connor is nothing short of transformative. Gone is the frightened waitress from the first film. In her place is a hardened, battle-ready warrior. Hamilton's intense physicality and emotional depth convey Sarah's trauma and unyielding determination, making her one of the most compelling female action heroes in cinema. Edward Furlong, in his debut role as John Connor, brings a youthful rebelliousness and vulnerability that balances the film's more intense moments. His chemistry with Schwarzenegger creates a touching mentor-protector dynamic that forms the heart of the narrative. Robert Patrick as the T-1000 is a revelation. His cold, relentless pursuit as a shape-shifting liquid metal assassin is both terrifying and mesmerizing. The special effects on Terminator 2 were revolutionary for their time, with Industrial Light and Magic's work on the T-1000's morphing effects still impressing decades later. These visuals, coupled with practical effects and stunt work, create action sequences that are thrilling as they are visually stunning. Terminator 2 Judgment Day is more than just a sequel. It's a cinematic triumph that expands and deepens the original's mythology. It has rightfully earned its place as a movie classic. Here comes the big, disagreeing movie on my list. There's always one that I know, oh, whenever they get to number 6, when they get to number 4, this is the one that people are going to say that I'm out of my damn mind. And this is the one that I'm out of my damn mind. It is pretty much considered by everyone to be the greatest sequel of all time, and a movie that far outpaces the original. I myself don't think it outpaces the original. I think it's really good, but it is my third favorite film of this trilogy. But as a sequel, it is the number 2 best sequel of all time. That is, The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back is often heralded as the greatest sequel in cinematic history, and for good reason. This installment of the Star Wars saga brings depth, emotion, and narrative complexity, cementing its place as a towering achievement in both the science fiction and fantasy genres. From the opening scenes on the icy planet of Hoth, director Irvin Kershner sets a tone that is both grand and intimate. The battle sequences are breathtaking, blending groundbreaking special effects with tightly choreographed action, yet the film never loses sight of its characters' personal struggles and growth. The true power of The Empire Strikes Back lies in its willingness to embrace darker, more mature themes. The film delves into the complexity of the Force, the struggle between good and evil, and the burden of destiny. The iconic revelation of Darth Vader's true identity as Luke's father, spoiler alert, is one of cinema's most shocking twists, forever altering the trajectory of the saga and adding profound emotional stakes. Visually, the film is a masterpiece. The special effects, designed by Industrial Light and Magic, are revolutionary. The Empire Strikes Back is just a triumph of storytelling, character development, and technical innovation. The film is a testament to the power of cinema to transport, challenge, and inspire. Now you're asking yourself, what sequel could he put above Empire Strikes Back? What is a sequel that is better than what is considered to be the greatest sequel of all time? Well, if you went to high school with me, you would know. If you ever started dating me, you would know. There was a movie that I would basically show people to see if they could be my friend. There is a movie I would show people to see, like, is this a girl that I can vibe with? And most of the time was no. When I showed it to my current wife, I don't think she necessarily loved it, but I think she saw why I loved it, and that worked good enough for me. This is my favorite sequel of all time. I think it surpasses the original. It is fun. I watch it probably 2 or 3 times a year. It's Evil Dead 2. Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2 is an audacious blend of horror and comedy that has delighted fans for decades. The film takes the terrifying premise of the first one and injects it with a dose of manic energy and dark humor, resulting in an experience that's as hilarious as it is horrifying. From the opening scene, it's clear that Raimi is not interested in retreading the same ground. Instead, he opts for a high-octane reimagining, with Bruce Campbell's Ash Williams at the heart of the madness. Campbell's performance is nothing short of iconic. His physical comedy, exaggerated expressions, and relentless enthusiasm transform Ash into a beloved and enduring character. Whether he's battling possessed furniture or chainsawing his own hand, Campbell's commitment to the role is a marvel to watch. The film's practical effects are a standout, with Raimi employing a mix of stop-motion animation, prosthetics, and gallons of fake blood to create a visual feast of gore and gags. Evil Dead 2's influence on the horror genre is immeasurable. It paved the way for future horror comedies, proving that the two genres could coexist successfully. Raimi's direction is visionary, blending kinetic camera work with a keen sense of timing and an unwavering commitment to entertaining the audience. Evil Dead 2 not only matches Evil Dead 1, but it surpasses it, establishing Evil Dead 2 as a seminal work in horror cinema, and it's my favorite sequel of all time. As I said, this wasn't going to be my subject for the week, but a friend of mine suggested this topic and I loved it. So if you guys have a topic you'd like me to talk about, shoot it my way on Messenger, email, leave a comment, whatever. Let me know what you're thinking. Maybe I'll make a Gary Talks episode about it. And a good way to get in touch with me is going to garytalks.tv. There I've got links to all the podcasts, the audio versions, the video versions on YouTube, my Twitter page, my Facebook page, and the Facebook page always has exclusive content, so be sure and check it out, because I've got a lot of big things in store for Gary Talks. Next week's episode is going to be another music episode, and it's going to be a hard one. A lot of times I'll talk about my favorite albums of a genre like soundtracks or hair metal or something like that, but I'm going to tackle my favorite albums of a decade, which means I'm going to have thousands and thousands and thousands to choose from. And I take these things seriously, which means I'm listening to probably 1,000 albums again just to rank these. But next week, my top 10 favorite albums of the 1970s. See you then.
Gary Talks Movies. Gary Talks Movies. Gary Talks Movies.